Hello, everybody. Welcome to Radio Mythoverse for November the 26th, 2019. A pre-Thanksgiving episode for those of us in the U.S. For everyone else, the year and the decade are nearing their close, and we've got a lot to look back on, and more importantly, a lot to look forward to. At the beginning, you heard Back from the Dead by the Suburban Swamp Kids. That track is available on their Personal Growths EP. They're a great ska punk band based out of South Florida. A great bunch of folks. Check them out on Spotify or on their Bandcamp page at swampkids.bandcamp.com. There's a link to that page down below in the description. Hey folks, I'm Dan, editor-in-chief of Mythoverse. I've been away from the stream for a bit, handling life stuff that came up, as well as handling some behind-the-scenes Mythoverse things, but I made it back for tonight's stream. It's a good time. Work is a bit chill this week, as most everyone is on vacation, except me. But it's still a short work week for me. Between that and the current state of things in general, I feel like it's a good time for me to kick back a moment, take a breath, relax, and just reflect on everything that's taken place this year, because a lot of stuff has taken place this year, and not only for me. With me tonight is, of course, Brett, our head of community outreach, and Matt, our lead writer. What's up, guys?
Hello.
Just getting some work done on a final draft of the script for Mythics.
Oh, yeah, you're working on issue 2 for Mythics, right? I saw...
Yep.
Yeah, so how's that coming along, Mr. Matt?
Introducing a recap page with an unreliable narrator is pretty interesting.
I don't want to spoil anything, because I really like this idea that you got going on, but you're essentially beginning issue 2 with a recap, right?
Yep.
Of the previous issue, but you're doing it in a very entertaining way that I think should not only provide the reader with some additional information if they missed it or forgot about it in issue 1, but also does a little bit of world building.
Yes, and it moves us past what we see now in the comics and establishing a bigger world.
Yes, indeed. Okay, we got Neo Star in the chat. XL Go, welcome. And Shirtless Yoda, hello. And we got a full panel here tonight. We got with us Alabaster, Dylan, and Shirtless Yoda. So glad to have you guys with us, hanging out on a nice, chill Tuesday evening up here where I am.
It's
a pleasure to be here.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm always happy to see you guys interacting in the Discord, and really pleased to see all the creative stuff you guys are coming up with. Dylan especially has been a machine recently. I won't spoil anything he's been working on because it's pretty cool, but I'm relatively sure you'll get a chance to have a look at it soon.
Spoiler alert, it has vampire food.
It has vampires in it. Do the vampires have swords? Are they good with swords? Can they use swords? Because Adobe can use swords. She has 2 swords.
They're all naked gay vampires and they use a different kind of sword.
Aww.
Oh my.
Oh my. I wonder what kind of sheath that sword has. Anyway. Anyway.
Already off
My
to a
goodness,
great
I've
start.
got the vapors.
I'm
Yes.
just playing.
Does anyone need a couch to faint on? Does anyone need any pearls to clutch? Because we're just getting started tonight, folks. Anyway.
Strap in and strap on, people.
Well, I have a way we can probably offend more people. So earlier today, and this is completely true, I tweeted about this earlier, but Victor hit me up on, and if anyone, and for the 5 people who aren't in the know, Victor is the one of the artists for Changeling. He does the line art and the inking. He hits me up over Discord and says, I just had a revelation. I want to do an isekai, but where the main character is a Mexican who saves a fantasy world by being as Mexican as possible.
Hey,
Okay, does this mean...
I saw that on Twitter, and I want to add that right after you posted it, the tweet that was right above that on my timeline was somebody finding a Mexican school simulator on Steam.
Oh no.
You should have screen capped that.
I did.
Well, why didn't? Where
Let
is-
me go get my phone and I'll post it.
But yeah. Okay, so we're to kind of explain what that and what I mean by that. What according to Victor, he was watching an isekai anime where the main character got by being as careful as possible.
For those who might not know what isekai means, could you provide a quick definition?
It's a genre of anime. Mostly, it's someone gets plucked out of the real world and into a fantasy world. Usually an RPG. A lot of it's like there's a lot of meta humor where they're making fun of like RPG cliches and tropes.
Like Sword Art Online or something like that?
Sword Art Online, Shield Hero, Konosuba, Uba Overlord.
But okay, but to be an isekai, it has to poke fun at the genre.
Say what?
So to be a proper isekai, it has to make fun of the genre.
Not necessarily, but it's like it kind of like either pokes fun at the cliches or tropes, or just kind of uses them.
So wouldn't Digimon technically count as a?
It could, to a point, yeah, it could.
Holy crap! We just made a discovery.
I mean, if you think about,
Right,
if you really
posted
think about it hard
it.
enough, Wizard of Oz is technically an isekai.
Holy shit!
It's any story where a character from one world goes into another world, I assume.
Well, mostly from the real world into a fantasy world, but yeah,
All right, that's fair.
yeah, that's kind of the
Peter
kind
Pan.
of what's up, basic, kind of what makes it an isekai is like there's a lot of stuff involved that comes up that's like pulled from JRPGs.
Right.
Cool. So getting back to what I was asking Matt and Brett. So what's been up lately aside from the isekai, Mr. Brett?
Oh, is Matt done yet?
Well,
Yeah, I'm done.
Matt has given his update, and I can't really talk too much more about it without spoiling what he's working on. So I'm going to leave it at that.
Okay, then I'll just say that we're right. I've got Victor starting on the new cover for the second issue.
Oh, that's right.
Because
I did see a concept for that. I think it was referencing Pan's Labyrinth. I'm sorry, did I just spoil it for you? No.
Did anyone catch that?
Rewind.
It's all right. I assumed everyone already had figured it
No,
out.
I'm not. No. I'm doing the Brian thing where I want to see if people will catch it. You guys got to be in the know because you have that privilege.
Well, yeah. Well, I didn't recognize it because I had only seen the film once, right when it came out, and never again.
Our white privilege.
I just want to. Did anyone catch it right before I cut Dan off?
Yes.
No.
I
No
did.
lying.
Or wait, yeah, I missed.
All right then, good.
Yeah.
It's the secret stays. Yes, but yes, I'm doing the Brian thing where I want to see if people are actually paying attention.
Okay. But they can pay attention, but if they don't have a frame of reference, they'll never get it. Like, Brian really loves to point out that people miss jokes, and then when he explains them to me, I'm like, well, I've never played that game, so I wouldn't understand it anyway. So, what's the point?
Or like how this, or as another example, your average civilian is not going to know what the fuck all those medals mean.
Yeah, I remember one time he said, look closely at her uniform and you'll understand. I'm like, I'm staring directly at the uniform, but I don't have the information I need to understand the reference. So, I'm sorry, I just don't have the same life experience you have. Anyway. So, yeah, but I understand that it's cool to put the Easter eggs in there and see if anyone can catch them.
Yeah.
But that's fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I mentioned earlier that, our year's about to wrap up and our decade is also. So, what's something, Matt and Brett, and then I'll open up the floor to everybody else. What's something you can both say you can look back proudly on, and something that you're looking forward to for the next year and the next decade?
Well, I moved I didn't just move out of my parents' house. I moved out to another state, and so far I've done pretty okay for myself.
Yeah. How long have you been on your own?
I moved back to Washington when I was about 25.
Okay. So how long has
So
that
it's
been?
about 4 years.
Nice. Yeah. That ain't hay, man. And you've pretty much been on your own that entire time. That's a nice feeling, isn't it?
I would definitely say I've achieved it. I would definitely say I've achieved independence.
That's good. That's good. The 20s are they typically call that the decade of emancipation. That's when the main thing that you should be able to accomplish during that decade is, not needing to rely on the direct support of your parents. Even if you haven't really come into your own completely, that should be a goal that you strive for during that time of your life. Anything that you're looking forward to? Aside from, of course, the obvious that we're about to receive the physical copies of our comics.
Christmas.
Oh, of course, there's Christmas. And Tim just joined us in the chat. Hey, and Neostar's been offering a lot of comments. Let me get to them real quick. He's been saying a lot about the isekais. Monster Rancher is an isekai. Okay. And he's been thinking of doing an isekai at some point or other. Well, go for it, man. Sky's the limit. Do an isekai.
Oh wait, I'm thinking of Monster Hunter. No. Monster Hunter's straight up fantasy game. I got that wrong, but yeah. As far as looking forward to anything, aside from the comic, nothing really comes to mind.
Really, you're not looking forward to your next beer or your next Jameson or anything? Nothing.
It's a possibility, but I'm hoping I can maybe start up. I can maybe trade up jobs in 2020.
That'd be cool.
No, it's one of those things may or may not happen. But either way, I'll be okay.
Okay, well that's good to know. It's good to hear, man. Obviously, best wishes to trading up on your job, and I honestly hope that you find one that A, you can enjoy doing, and B, you don't feel like you're put upon all the time, and C, you don't have to deal with screaming kids. Obviously, you don't like that.
And D, I don't have to deal with Karens.
Oh yeah, there's no Karens, yeah. Well, there's always going to be Karens in one form or other, but you just get them in copious quantities in retail.
Brett has to deal with a little ginger girl at his job.
Is there a little ginger girl at your job? Which one's this?
No, okay, so there is this little kid, about 2 or 3 years old. Every time her parents bring her into my store, she balls up a storm. And her crying is very distinct. Like, I know, like, I just have to hear it and I know, oh god, it's her. And I've actually been unfortunate to be within earshot a couple times. It's just like, and I don't understand. It's like every friggin' time.
It's like this. Just kidding. I don't know what she sounds like.
So she comes in so frequently you can recognize her by.
Her parents are frequent shoppers, but
she comes in so frequently you're able to pinpoint her by sound.
yes.
Okay, all right.
Oh my lord! It's just like
It's a hard knock life for Brett, man. I'm sorry to hear that.
like I'm not trying to put down parents. Parents or anything. But it's just like, you know what? I will just say it. I will stand by that line I wrote in Mythoverse. There is no better birth control than other people's children.
Well, in all fairness, Brett, you shouldn't necessarily feel any need to apologize to parents because other people's kids are a lot harder to love than your own in a lot of cases. So don't worry about it. When they're your own, you have a lot more patience. Trust me. It's biological and it's completely involuntary. Luckily for them. All right, so Matt, same question. When
I get through with Matt, I just remembered something.
Okay, well, go ahead before you forget. What is it?
Well, we did actually. We probably discussed this last week, but it's also good. Now is as good a time to bring it up as well. we recently discussed with Wicked about negotiating a contract for a Mythochibi's collected print volume.
Oh yeah, that's right. Among other things, I don't want to go into too much detail with what we discussed because nothing's signed yet, nothing's solid. But we do have plans to offer Mythochibis as a printed volume. And we are in negotiations with Wicked, like Brett said, to get that taken care of and have it available on the Wicked store. So we have about, I think, 29.
This is probably when we this.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think this will probably be when we won't have to run a crowdfunder since all the content's already been paid for.
Yeah.
Maybe just a small one to pay for printing costs.
Yeah, or possibly to gauge interest in the product. We could have a really small goal and say, does anyone want this? Make the goal make the goal like $500 and say, is there enough people out there that would want this, that it would make sense for us to print this book?
Yeah, it also help us build a larger audience. Maybe gauge, maybe just keep our name out there.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we're just getting ramped up. I mean, we literally have not even held the physical copies of our books yet. So we're still not even complete with phase 1, the initial part of phase 1. But we have so much that we're ready to launch out of our gigantic artillery piece that we've been crafting all year that I'm pretty excited. And Mythochibis is just one of the things. All the work that we put into Narratus Mythologica and building relationships with audio, voice actors, and things like that is going to seriously start paying off next year. I don't want to go into too much detail what we plan to do yet because it's not set in stone, but we've been very busy. I've been very busy, everyone's been very busy, and there's been a lot going on that we haven't really revealed yet, but we will next year when it's all ready. So right now we're focused on getting everyone's physical copies sent out, and all the posters and all the trading cards and stickers and all that, and that's been a mission. The printer's been a little bit backed up, more so than we had initially anticipated. And moving forward, we're going to need to plan these things out in advance much better than we did this year because there will be far fewer windows of opportunity to get our print runs in the queue next year. So when we run our campaigns and schedule our productions for our next issues, we'll have to be very meticulous for our delivery dates. And Neostar says, Tim says, you guys did voices too? Well, yeah, we produced a sample episode audiocast called Narratus Mythologica, and that's comprised of short stories set in the Mythoverse, centering on the main characters of the Mythoverse from other characters' point of view. Like, for example, there's a short story about Adobe Kroger through the eyes of a runaway girl. There's a story about Althea journaling about her discoveries, and there's a story about Maeve's friend Jenny right before she moves to Aberdeen. There's a nice little wrapping story there too. A whole lot of stuff we have in the pipeline. A whole lot of things that are partially recorded, but not yet complete. But yeah, that's one of the many things that we're working on. And Neostar says, it's coming along, folks, slowly but surely. Thank you. Believe me, it takes a lot of effing work. And there's a lot of real boring stuff that you have to be able to do to get something like this off the ground. Not the least of it is just, doing your day job day by day to pay for this as we go.
Yep. And
Neostar says, also sorry I haven't had a lot of clever comments on Mythochibis lately. Don't worry about it. I'm glad that you commented at all. It was a lot of fun reading your comments.
Yeah. Oh, actually, what did everyone think of last week's strip?
Did anyone get a chance to read the Thanksgiving one?
It took me a few seconds to get the joke.
Okay. It was sort of set up in the second panel. But, yeah, that's fine. So, I'm just really happy with Antonella's art. I absolutely love everything about her style. She really does have a grasp on wild takes on making her characters have appeal and making them just flat out adorable to look at. Still so happy that we're working with her. All right.
I pulled up this latest webcomic, and I've been reading some manga by Junji Ito all afternoon, and so I'm reading it the wrong way.
You know what's funny is for the very first episode of Mythochibis, Antonella must have been so accustomed to reading and or drawing manga in the traditional way that the balloons were out of order. And I said, wait a minute, this is you gotta do it the Western way, because our readers are Western. So I need her to make that adjustment. Anyway, so yes, Mythochibis will be available in print. Hopefully sometime early next year. We'll see how that all pans out. The work is all done. We just need to arrange the printing and see if anyone would be interested in purchasing it. And then we will put the time into making it available on Wicked. All right, so Matt, same question I asked about 15 minutes ago. What you're looking forward to, and what are you proud of looking back on last year, last 10 years?
I'd have to say that the best thing about the last 10 years was it was the Kickstarter, because it was the first time that something that I put in work to do made more than $100.
Really?
Yeah. The time I went to Motor City Comic Con, I made about $85, and that was from being placed right in front of the 25-cent Golden Age comics.
I'm sorry, what? You were placed right in front of the 25-cent Golden Age comics?
Yeah,
oh,
basically,
you mean your comics were placed there? Okay.
Yeah, so it's either buy a $3 comic or buy a 25-cent comic that people love.
And that has characters everyone recognizes.
Yep.
Okay, but you said you made $85.
Yep.
Well, that's not nothing to sneeze at for someone who is otherwise unknown at the time.
Yeah, and it was interesting because I found out that even if nobody knows who I am, they still want a signature.
Well, that's cool. That's cool.
Yep.
Tim says, I wouldn't know anything about making money. Well, how do you eat? do you grow your own food?
I'm pretty sure you've had a job. You've had at least one job in your life.
How do you live?
Yeah, I mean,
are you actually speaking to a ghost?
Yeah, I think Tim may be referring to on a side hustle along the lines of what we're doing, and that's fine. Yeah. At comics, at least. Okay, Tim has clarified. Okay, yeah, well, it's not easy to make money in comics. Between the three of us, would you say that we've put in like 1,000 man hours in this project already?
Probably even more.
Yeah, probably more than that. And that's only to launch 3 number ones, and to have just enough money to pay our creative teams, and that's roughly it. So we had to really hustle our asses off, and we were planning it for half a year before we even put the campaign together. And on top of that, we've been building these stories up. Like Adobe Kroger, the character, I came up with her in 2011, and I finished the novel 6 years later. So this has been cooking for a long time from where I sit, and I'm sure it's been cooking for as long, or nearly as long, with the other two. And we're just now at the point where we can just say, hey, we finished a comic each. Okay, so it's not easy. It takes a lot of work, and like Kirby said, it'll break your heart. But you got to keep at it if you really want it. And we came close. There were a couple of times during the campaign that we honestly thought we wouldn't make the funding. There were days where it wouldn't budge. Like I checked the amount in the middle of the night and first thing in the morning, and there was like 3 straight days where no one additional pledged to it. And I was thinking to myself, well, I guess this is where it stops. But every day you got to get up there and try to make it move, or else it'll really stop moving. So here we are. We got 3 books. They're all done. We've proved it by fulfilling the digital versions of them at least.
Yeah, what makes it really nerve-wracking with Kickstarter is that you don't get charged until the end of the campaign. So there are people who are going to wait until the very last minute so that they know they have the money.
Yeah, there is that. And a number of charges didn't go through either. I think maybe 4 or 5 of them didn't go through, and I had to, remind them to check back with it, because the truth of the matter is, people that back these campaigns typically, like I myself, I backed like 52 Indiegogos and maybe like 3 dozen Kickstarters, and there was one that I actually backed. Interestingly enough, it was Blake Northcott's novel. I never filled out my survey because the notification just got lost. So I found that that notification like last month. I'm like, wow, I did back that campaign. I forgot, and so I never got my book because I never filled out my survey. But that's something I can obviously take care of if I really wanted to. But the point is, they can forget, and you don't get your money, and there you go. So, well, that's cool, Matt. I'm really glad to hear that you can look at this project we've all done together and be proud of it. So, moving forward, what are you most excited for?
Continuing this.
Continuing this.
If it's anything, we're going to, based on everything that we're doing right now, we're building a business out of this, so it's going to be an interesting ride for the next decade.
Yeah.
Especially if it gets to the point where we can actually quit our jobs and do this full time.
Yeah. Well, I've been putting together a lot of plans, been bouncing them off of Matt and Brett. They know what I have in mind. And I think we have a fairly good chance of turning this into a self-sustaining machine if we can build the audience a bit bigger and keep our momentum up. So we'll see. We'll see. So,
well, I think you guys have put in the effort to earn that audience. Like, the quality of the comics is just outstanding.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That means a lot. And it's really hard to tell because we stare at it day after day after day, and it's like we aren't. It's hard for us to gauge the quality when we're doing edit after edit after edit. And especially when I'm staring at the files for hours and hours, setting them up for digital and print, I just stop seeing it after a while, because I'm just so accustomed to it. And I really envy those who get to see all this wonderful artwork that our artists have come up with and experience all the stories for the first time, because that's something that I was never able to do. So very cool. All right. So yeah, the print proofs are in the mail. I believe our last update from Matt and Mike over at Wicked, was that they should be receiving them on the 27th. That's tomorrow. So there were some production delays on our end. There were some issues with when I was prepping all the print files. I had set up all of the templates according to specification, and then I outputted them to PDF. By going straight from Photoshop to Bridge, and I had thought that Bridge had exported all of my page settings correctly, but it did not. It actually printed it out on A4 size paper when it needed to be a very specific size, and I had overlooked that, and I couldn't tell visually that the paper was the wrong size, so the first delay was on me, but I immediately fixed that, and as far as I understand it, there were no further delays on our end. It may just be their workload that's been slowing them down, but we believe they should receive the prints on the 27th, and then they'll send them out to us. We'll have like 1 copy each of the retail and the Antonella variants. So I'll try to get those approved as quickly as possible so that we can send out everything early in December. And I want, once that's all done, I want Wicked to start offering them for sale as soon as possible. So I've been promising everyone on Twitter that you can pick up copies of this stuff in December, and I'm standing by that. So hopefully that will be available. And in the end, it was kind of frustrating to go through all these delays, but it's also kind of fitting that all this is finally available at the end of the year. So it's like a perfect cap on everything that we've had to do all year to finally, at the very end, get to hold our physical copies and have other people be able to do the same. One final thing about the physical copies is, if you are a digital backer, you notice that there was a lot of supplemental content in the back. There was community artwork, there was pre-production artwork, there was a few other things in there. That's not going to be in the print version because we were hoping to save on print costs. But what we did was I put a QR code on the back cover, and if you scan that, it'll take you directly to the digital version of the comic that has all that stuff in it. So you can, even if you missed the campaign and didn't get the digital copy, it'll be right there, readily available for anyone that buys the book, and they'll have all that extra stuff in there. So that is that. So with all that having been said, let's go over to our community update section. Who won the no prize this week, Brett?
The same guy who wins every week.
Not him again. Oh man, are we gonna have to have someone like come in and break his WrestleMania streak again?
I mean, if you ban him
guess
from
I could give
posting
him
an
another shot.
NSFW, he'll stop winning.
Oh yeah, it's all that glorious porn he keeps posting. I mean, I can't ask him to stop doing that. It's like a highlight of my week.
Or day.
I just let it build up so I get it all at once. No, it's a conflict of interest if I were to do that.
No, Nut November has been very complicated.
Does anyone actually do that? I mean,
Some I know a few who do.
I'm joking around, of course. I'm usually too tired to do any of that. But anyway, so cool. Congratulations again, Dylan. I'm sure that if I go to the leaderboard, I'll see your name an awful lot. So congratulations. Thanks for making our...
I believe it's like 10 weeks in a row, hasn't it?
10 weeks? I thought that's it, huh? Oh, boy.
9.
I would
not
love
10.
this. I would love to see someone break that.
Oh, 9 weeks?
Well,
Yeah.
as long as Dylan doesn't say, "Oops, I tripped at the finish line," and then just let someone beat him, then I'm all for it. I want to see some actual, genuine, energetic competition going on there. Okay, John the Dampier just showed up. What's up, guys? Been waiting to listen to another great stream. Thanks, John. Glad you're here. And Neostar said, "Oh snap! I need to get started on the Christmas picks." Yeah, please do, man. There's a cash prize involved. All right, so
Yeah, we moved that to next Tuesday.
yeah, we bumped up the deadline because a lot of folks had started it and just ran out of time. And the way I see it, since it's a Christmas card and we're still in Thanksgiving season anyway, what's the harm? Give them another week.
All right.
Sweet. So, all right. So, congratulations, Dylan. Thanks for making our Discord more fun and more full of delicious porn. So please keep
Yay.
that up. Both drawn and just cut and pasted. I don't care. It's all glorious. Anyway, so I wanted to talk about something real quick. I don't get out to see too many movies. It's expensive, and I usually reserve that for spectacle movies with the family to get the most bang for my buck. But lately, I've actually surprised myself and managed to schedule a couple of date nights and just go out with me and Jen, and we saw 2 non-spectacle films. And
He saw Charlie's Angels.
I did not see Charlie's Angels. The two films I saw were Joker and Ford versus Ferrari. Obviously, there's nothing more new to say about Joker. Just look at the memes. The only thing I can say is that I'm really glad it made a lot of money because I want to see more films like this that are about, people and psychological things, and rather than just a big CGI explosion fest at the end. And I absolutely loved that movie, although I probably won't ever want to see it again because I wasn't thoroughly entertained by it, but I was riveted by it. So if you haven't seen it yet, go see it.
Which they're gonna ruin with the sequel.
Yeah, it wasn't supposed to have a sequel, but how can they ignore that now? I mean, Joaquin Phoenix
Corporate wouldn't let
likes
him.
money just as much as anyone else does, and he left his statements very open initially, but he said in no uncertain terms, "I'm the Joker. I'm the real Joker," and there are so many things we can do with this character. He didn't flat out say there's going to be a sequel, but he's never flat out said there wouldn't be one. So
We all know Jared Leto's the real Joker.
Jared Leto
man.
is beyond any shadow of a doubt the finest portrayal of the Joker. Anyway, so the other one.
don't know. I mean,
he is very salty about it.
I don't know. I still
Ford
feel like it's
Ferrari.
hard to top Jack Nicholson.
Well, Jack Nicholson was great as well, but he's
He
Jack
was.
I
Nicholson.
didn't care for his portrayal necessarily, but that's just me.
Heresy.
Well, no, because Jack Nicholson is really good at playing Jack Nicholson, and I love me some Jack Nicholson. Don't get me wrong, but in his portrayal of the Joker, he also played Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
That's not like necessarily a good thing, but it's not a bad thing either.
Well, the
It was a
thing
fine performance.
of all the actors that play themselves all the time, I think he's one of my favorites.
Definitely.
His performance in The Shining was so creepy. I started laughing at it the first time I saw it. Like I was just enjoying it so much that I was laughing. Not at it, but just like out of sheer joy. Anyway, so yeah. So real quick, Ford
And of
versus
course-
Ferrari. Has
and of
anyone
course-
seen it?
I didn't even know that was a thing.
That plays perfectly into what I was gonna talk about it. Well, does anyone know what the story's about?
Ford versus
I assume
Ferrari.
it's about a competition between Ford and Ferrari.
Well,
I mean,
okay, so a little bit of backstory. Now, I haven't seen the movie, but I've been waiting for them to do an adaptation of the movie for the better part of the decade. I'm like, somebody needs to make a movie out of this. And when Rush came out, I'm like, oh man, we're so much closer to somebody realizing there's a lot of really good racing stories.
Yeah, this one.
What happened is back in the day, Henry Ford II was going to buy Ferrari, or at least he was going to buy their commercial car division, because the commercial car division was only ever a money making project so that Ferrari could race cars, which was his real passion. But at the last minute, Ferrari pulled out. That pissed off Henry Ford II, and so he just threw money at his own project. Like, we got to make a car that'll just destroy Ferrari, and they made something called the Ford
The Ford.
GT40, and the Mark One was okay-ish, but overall it just wasn't doing what they wanted him to do. So he went to this Texas chicken farmer who you may have heard of, named Carroll Shelby. Carroll Shelby, again from Texas, and needed nitroglycerin for his heart to keep beating, which kind of explains
Why he never
where
raced
his
again.
life
Yeah.
led him. Well, no, why he did the crazy stuff he did, I would argue.
He was one of the only Americans to win the Le Mans.
Oh yeah, it was. The guy's an absolute legend. He's of course the guy who created the what was it called, the Shelby Mustang. That's where he gets his name from, and he got put in charge of the GT40 project. They fixed it up, put it in a different direction, and that became the Mark II. And they actually did what most people figured was just impossible and never going to happen. They beat Ferrari, and they beat them several years in a row.
Yes. Most importantly, though, the first time they went up against them, they did not win, but they Shelby pulled in one of his old friends, Ken Miles, who's a legendary engineer and race car driver, to perfect the design. And that is the character played by Christian Bale in the film, and Shelby is played by Matt Damon. And Matt Damon. What's funny is that's the main reason my wife wanted to see the film, was she loves Matt Damon. She said, "You gonna share Matt Damon with me, Dan?" I'm like, "Sure, I'll share Matt Damon with you." But yeah, what really amazed me, and I'm not surprised that this hasn't happened, because this is pretty much a sleeper film, but it's a fascinating story, and one of the reasons I was so impressed with these two films is that, well, obviously they weren't spectacle movies or Marvel movies, and it was so refreshing to see self-contained stories that exist for their own sake, you know, that have their own tales to tell, that don't serve to just be a link in a chain for like a multi-billion-dollar universe, which is fine. I mean, I like the Marvel movies for the most part, for what they were, but you know, you have to bear in mind that back in 2008 when they started, it was still like something of a novelty to see superheroes on screen with those modern visuals and even like a small amount of faithfulness to the source material. But as they went on, it became more and more clear that they were intended to be watched not for their own sake, for their own story, but just to see how they linked to the next train car in the chain. And the apotheosis of all that was Captain Marvel. Like, did anyone go to see that film because they were interested in this character or the story?
I didn't go see it at all.
I know. Obviously, a lot of people did go see it. I didn't see it, but it made a shitload of money, and I don't think it's because anyone cared about Carol Danvers or whatever the hell was happening in that movie. They cared because they thought it might link the two Infinity War movies together, and it was sandwiched at the end of a 10-year storyline. But by itself, you know, it was an unremarkable film. And it was very nice to see films that weren't that. They were just self-contained stories about people. And, like, you went to see Captain Marvel because you thought there was information you needed to understand the climax of a 10-year story. Oh, what's this? My 1-year-old's bringing me my shoes. Hey.
Oh my goodness, that's so cute.
Hey, do you want to say hi to everybody? Hey, come say hi.
So-
Come up here.
Oh man.
Here, say hi. Say hi. Aw, he's being shy. He just woke up to hand me my shoes. Okay, do you want to sit on Daddy's lap? You want to sit on Daddy's lap? You want to do that?
That is so freaking cute.
He's just sitting here, lying back, chilling. All right. I'll see if I can work around
It's
this.
the cutest thing, you can't see it.
Yeah. I'm just kind of Hey, Dad. Yes? Do you want a drink? Okay.
You know, if you like, and again, I haven't seen the movie yet, so, but if you like Ford versus Ferrari, and this is me giving the movie night recommendation, by the way, Brett, the film Rush, which has what's his name, Hemsworth in it.
Which Hemsworth?
Chris Hemsworth.
Liam or Chris?
Chris Hemsworth. Alongside Daniel Bruhl, and they play James Hunt and Niki Lauda. It's about their rivalry in the 70s.
Nice. Hey, say hi. Say hi. Nah, he's not. He's just covering his face. There's nobody there. Why you
There's
being
no
shy?
camera.
He can hear. I'm pretty sure he can hear voices.
He's just pointing at my drink. He just wants a drink. You want a drink? Okay, you drink, buddy. Okay.
Want some of Daddy's scotch?
Yeah. You know what's funny is when I was his age.
You're going to sleep one way or another.
When I was his age, there's a legend in my family that my uncles fed me beer, and I liked it. So I don't know. I guess it goes back quite a ways. But anyway, so so yeah, what was I saying? Okay, yeah, Captain Marvel was sandwiched between the climax of a 10-year story, and what I noticed is that going back to watch all these films with my mother-in-law, she was a huge fan of them, but she was watching them all out of order, and she couldn't understand what was going on, so I had to give her a prescribed order to watch the films in. And then I started realizing, you can't really watch these films alone. They're not really standalone. They're like sequels, but they're worse because it's like 24 movies deep at this point. So if you were to watch like the latest film, Infinity War, you'd be completely lost. You had no idea who any of these people are or what's going on. So that's what I really appreciated about it. Was like almost a relief to watch a film that was a one and done, like Ford and Ferrari. Ford versus
I don't know. I kind of feel like Guardians of the Galaxy was sort of more standalone. At least it operated in its own space.
It
Yeah.
did. It
That
did.
pun was not intended, by the way.
Yeah. It was
I saw the first Marvel movie I saw, at least, sitting down and watching it from the beginning to end. Also, the first one I saw in theaters was Winter Soldier. and I really enjoyed it.
Oh, that is probably the best one still.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I've been told, and it actually kind of made me sad to realize, oh, it's all downhill from here.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Well, the Captain America movies always served as like the, I guess you could say, all the important stuff that moved the universe forward happened in the Captain America films. Like, in the first film, we learned, okay, this is what, it tied everything together. Like, this is the Tesseract, and this is what it is, and how everyone gets it. The second film, like, S.H.I.E.L.D. is destroyed in the Captain America film. And the next one, the Avengers break apart in a Captain America film. So I always said, like, the Captain America films are where they go into the next phases, it seems. Oh, now he's talking.
Yeah, but
He's playing with his airplane. Playing with an airplane?
yeah, but still, I mean, like with Guardians of the Galaxy, do you really need to know? Oh, you don't. I mean, like, just watch. I mean, like, just take this Guardians of the Galaxy 2. The only movie you had to watch was the first one, and you didn't even need to watch the other Marvel movies to understand what was going on, because it was a completely separate area of the same universe.
Yeah, you didn't need to know what an Infinity Stone was to enjoy the first one.
Yeah, it was just a
Because
powerful MacGuffin. Yeah.
You just need to know it's a rock that everyone wants, and it's powerful. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, if anything, what? Yeah, like they should have been more like Guardians of the Galaxy, but in that way.
Yeah. So anyway, that's just how I saw it. It was these two films are one and done, and I really like that.
Yeah.
But one thing about Ford versus Ferrari that I noticed that jumped out at me is something that I wouldn't have even blinked at 20 years ago. But the way things have been going culturally, it really stood out and jumped out at me, like, in ways that it probably wouldn't have before. And once I realized it, it was hard not to see it, and I was astonished that I hadn't come across any articles on those garbage sites that everyone loves, decrying, like, the toxicity of this film. But after I thought about it a little bit, I was like, I understand why they didn't, because they're not acting on principle. They're only going after the targets that have influence, which is why What's-Her-Name spoke out about The Mandalorian, because people are actually watching The Mandalorian and know about it. So it needs to be addressed. I won't say her name because I don't want to give her any more oxygen, but we all know who I'm talking about. Yeah. But anyway,
She of the hoopity earring.
So because Ford versus Ferrari is flying largely under the radar of general audiences, I don't think we'll hear much about it. But the thing that jumped out at me was, this is a story about male leads accomplishing something great. They're a story about men achieving excellence. All the engineers are male. The two leads are male. There's no young, attractive female engineer showing them all up, making fun of them, emasculating them. It's a male space.
Russia's the same way.
Yeah, it's a male space, period. There are no...
You could even say it's about men who are driven.
You could say that, yes. Wait a minute, is that a pun?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I missed it. I boomered you. Okay, there's one prominent female role in Ford versus Ferrari, and that's it. And it's Ken Miles' wife, Molly, which I thought was cool, because I love that name. She fills a role that you almost never see a woman fill anymore. In fact, it's like it would be kryptonite today. She lives in this film. The role she plays is to encourage her husband to excel. Like, she knows her husband can achieve greatness through all the skills he's learned throughout his lifetime, and she actively encourages him and almost like berates him for not going after it. She says, this is something you can do, for fuck's sake, go for it, And the only other role she plays is to make sure that he goes and achieves his dream, which was to race at Le Mans and design this incredibly awesome machine. She uplifts him. She doesn't mock him or emasculate him, and she doesn't Homer Simpson him. And I was like,
I mean,
wow,
Marge Simpson it.
Feminist.
Or would it be
No,
would it be Marge Simpson in this
No,
case?
Homer Simpson is like the idiot father, right?
No, I get that.
He's not. Put
You know,
into that
yeah,
role.
yeah. You know what? Marge is not even a really good analogy in this case, because Marge is actually very supportive of Homer, mostly.
Yeah, well, he's not forced into the Homer Simpson role. He's a provider. He's got a lot of skills. He's damn good at what he does, and she knows it, and she encourages him to do it. And that's a role you never see women play anymore. Like it's always like the women have to show up the men. They always
Yeah,
have to,
they always have to be like, "Oh, we're better than you." Oh,
yeah, and it's a male space. There are men in it, and they do a damn good job. And
Somehow I get the feeling the way it portrayed Meg's mama is going to take people by surprise. It's like, wait, a woman is who's a housewife?
well, I don't. To this day, maybe it's just because I'm older. I don't understand why being a housewife is so maligned. That's a critical job. If Jen didn't do what she did, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. Okay, period. Like she does so much, and I would not be able to do it if she did not do what she did. Period. Anyway, so that's that. I just wanted to get that off my chest because after I came out of that film, I was just astonished that all the men were portrayed so positively and the woman was so supportive of them. And in the end, it was all about, everyone's getting together and achieving something amazing. So that kind of thing is like anathema to modern day far leftists. So I think it's only because the film is something of a sleeper that's not discussed. But anyway,
More than likely.
Yeah.
Somehow I get the feeling this is this just given the people who are attached to it, this is a movie that might, like, if it does as well and gets good reviews, and from the sounds of it, that seems to be the case so far. This thing might be looking at a couple nominations at the Oscars.
Well, Christian Bale is freaking amazing in it. Now, he went straight from this role, from Cheney. He was playing Dick Cheney, and he gained, like, the amount of weight he would have had to gain, straight to playing Ken Miles. And he lost 70 pounds between these two films. I mean, my wife barely recognized him. She said, where do I know him from? I'm like, that's Christian Bale. It's Batman.
It's Batman.
She's like, what?
I mean, come on. I wouldn't exactly call Christian Bale a method actor. I don't know that he is one, but he throws himself into a role. I know that much. I mean, like, he really pushed himself to get like that diamond cut six pack in American Psycho. And then there was what was that? The Machinist? Was that the one where he looked like he was completely emaciated? I don't remember.
That was it.
He was emaciated.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he was practically emaciated as Ken Miles, and that's appropriate because Ken Miles is very skinny. But
he doesn't look the same.
Yeah,
No,
in
not like
racing,
like the Machinist, Dan.
okay.
You do need to be, especially for modern motorsport, you need to be very athletic, especially in the neck area.
Mhm.
Especially in the neck area.
Yeah.
But I think that wasn't really a thing until like the 80s when they really started pushing that.
Yeah, I've heard Christian Bale lately really has been having trouble with doing what he used to do. Just gaining weight like that. Like, geez.
I'm having trouble with it now.
Yeah, he said he's done with it after this. He said it was a lot of fun preparing for Dick Cheney. It was not fun preparing for Ken Miles. He said all he had to do was eat a lot of pie. And then all of a sudden he was Dick Cheney. But
Eat a lot of pie and be as angry as he wanted to.
Yeah. And he does a fairly convincing accent. I don't know what region he was going for. I assumed it was northern, like a Manchester accent. But I'm not an expert, and I'm sure that someone who came from that region would be rolling their eyes. But I think he did a fairly good job. So,
well, he is British himself, so
yeah. But he was putting on like a very heavy working class accent this time. I don't know where he's from.
Accent.
Oh, he's saying "whoa" a lot now. What are you saying "whoa" for, buddy? Are you looking at the pictures? Oh, okay. I'm doing my best here, but he's taking half my attention, guys.
I know I kind of know how you feel, Dan, because Willie decided he wanted to crawl into my lap.
Yeah, he's at his whoa stage where he'll point at something he likes and go whoa, and he's doing that right now because the artwork is cycling through the screen.
He's still figuring out how to talk right now, isn't he?
Yeah, he's got I think maybe a dozen words. Like he says ma, pa, sissy, bubba. That's mother, father, sister, and brother. And he can say juice. He can say please and thank you. Let me see what else. What else does he have?
Kitty.
He says sit when he wants you to sit. And he says bed. Okay. So he's getting there. I think he's almost got 2-word sentences down. Like he says, "Pa, sit." Things like that. So he's definitely getting more articulate, and he does have a lot of signs. So Neostar says your kid's a fan of the Mythoverse, eh? Yeah, he really likes the pictures. He likes the pictures.
They're pretty
That would-
pictures.
I'm pretty sure the daughter's more of a fan.
Yeah, the daughter is actually she makes like a new comic book every single day. Like she'll take like 7 or 8 sheets of paper. She'll draw a little story, staple them together, make a little about the author page where she draws like a little stick figure representing herself, and then she'll leave a little place
Wait, how
for
many kids do you have?
what? What's that?
How many kids do you have?
3. I
Oh,
got
so 2 boys.
2 boys, a girl. Yeah.
Are they gonna be story writers like you?
Well, the my oldest looks like he wants to be an electrician or an HVAC engineer. That's what he looks
Tell
like.
him to get a real job and be and write big boob lesbians.
Yeah. Right now, all
Wasn't
he
there a
really,
Monty Python sketch like that where like they're from a proud family of playwrights and people who work at the theater, and because I want to become a coal miner.
Hey, no, don't you play with that.
Yeah, he looks like he wants to be an HVAC engineer. And my daughter looks like she says she wants to be a veterinarian, but she loves to write stories and draw comics, so we'll see.
Ow.
And
I mean, you can do both. It's
Okay.
possible. You're a software engineer and you're writing comics.
that's right.
I'm going to be a chemical engineer, and I'm working on a comic for the Mythoverse right now. So
Yeah, it's
Okay,
definitely possible.
How cool would that freaking be if, like, your daughter's interested in like doing comics, right?
Yeah, she loves it.
How freaking cool would that be if she continued what like you're doing, or like?
Well, the Kubert brothers did that.
Well, I would be ecstatic if she did, but I would only do so if that's what she really wanted to do. Like, like I wouldn't want her to do that just to make me happy. I want to make sure she does that if she's happy doing it.
I'm pretty sure if my kid was like, "Oh, I want to draw," do it.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, yeah, she wouldn't be the first. I mean, like you had Andy and Mike. Shit, who was the other Kubert brother? I can never remember his name.
Oh, the Kubert brothers? Yeah, I don't remember. Is it Joe Kubert?
That's their dad.
Okay, yeah, I don't know the names of the sons.
Otherwise, the only other famous one, and the second one I can remember, it's Adam. Andy and Adam. Yeah. Otherwise, the only other famous second-gen comic artist I can think of is John Romita Jr.
Cool. Well, we'll see. She absolutely loves telling stories. She devours books. I mean, she's gone through. I don't know if you're familiar with the Wings of Fire series. It's a book about dragons, series about dragons, and she's read like 7 of the books already, and they're fairly large-sized chapter books. So for her age, she's well ahead of the curve in terms of her literacy. So we'll see. Neostar says it's nice to see children taking interest in the arts. Well, I definitely try to expose them to it. And if they like it, then I encourage it. If they don't, then I find something else that they like. I want to make sure that they pick their own path. So anyway, we're coming up on hour 2. But before I fire up a game, I want to say something. We at the Mythoverse would be nowhere if we hadn't received the support of all the people who believed in our project and trusted our ability to deliver a quality product. So I'd like to give back a little and promote some other indie creators who have recently launched a campaign. To that end, I have one particular campaign in mind that I want to talk about, and it is the Rags Take the Money and Run campaign. This is one that I think deserves all of our attention. And above all else, of all the campaigns I've backed in the past couple of years, this is the one I am most thrilled of. This campaign was launched by Brian of the Rags team, and he's already at 36% of his $500 flexible goal, as you can see up there on the screen. Has 11 backers with 59 days left, and the rewards are just absolutely astonishing. Like, look at this one. $200 will get you the invisible variant These are the special made invisible variant covers of rags that are made out of the finest, thinnest air. So, oh, by the way, they're still censored though. So, take that up with Brian. He's an asshole. I don't know why. For $200,
He's an asshole, but he's an asshole, yes, but he is an asshole that will never steer you wrong.
No, absolutely not. I just think for $200, I should be able to get some nipples and butt crack. But no, I guess not. Okay, so
okay, so I did some concept art, and then Chad, he's like, "What the fuck?"
Boy, you make me wonder sometimes.
No. There's a reason behind it.
I
promise.
trust you, but you make me wonder.
So anyway, this campaign, the whole point of it is that we give Brian money and he does nothing with it. We get nothing from it, and he just does whatever the hell he wants with it. That's why I'm so thrilled about it. Like, look at this tier here, Strip Club for $1. I get enough of these singles. I take your money and go to the strip club. So that's great. For $5, this is a hot item here. For $5, he will block you on Twitter. So I will block you on Twitter so you get the full feeling of being ghosted after donating. For $5, he will block you on Twitter, which is something we should all aspire to out of our comic book pros.
We call it the Ethan experience.
The Ethan experience, yes. Oh no, check this one out. For
I thought it was the EE experience.
For only $15, he will write Rag Season 2 and start production on it in 20.
And then never deliver it.
And never deliver it, yeah. and look at this one. For $25, he'll order a pizza with our money.
He'll buy pie.
He'll buy a pie. Okay, that's fine. For $30, you get a lousy Epstein did not kill himself shirt that he'll just throw together on MS Paint if he has any money left over. For $50, he will bar hop with your money and hopefully take some pictures.
I told him he should. I told him that once the campaign is over, he should just take the money and donate it to Toys for Tots.
I'm sure he's going to do that, but I like to believe that he won't. So for return to Discord for $500, if you've been banned, then he'll consider letting you back in.
That's for Rami.
Yes.
Oh my god. Don't you play with the cord!
Alright, so Neostar says, sounds dope. I've always wanted to use my money for pizza and strip clubs. Yeah, as long as Brian uses it, I'm fine. I'm fine with it. I mean, and if he gives it to Toys for Tots, okay, I guess. But I'd much rather he blow it on, cocaine and strippers.
Yeah.
I want to see a video of him just snorting it off a whore's ass.
Yeah. I want a video with a straw.
If he does anything, I want to see him recreate the scene from Scarface. I just want to see him plant his face into a giant pile of it. That's it.
Maybe he will if he gets funded. There's 59 days left, and he's 36% of the way.
Does that include the explosive blowout? Although, knowing Brian, he'd handle that with much better trigger discipline than Al Pacino.
Yeah, it's short, controlled bursts. That's the important thing.
Well,
guys, I don't think he's gonna make it.
Cocaine...
You don't think he's gonna make it?
Oh, I'm not donating anything.
Oh no, especially not because 36% in 60 days.
Yeah, he's completely. Yeah, he's dead in the water.
Yeah, I don't think there's any hope for this, but I like to dream. I like to dream. And
people donate a lot of money to keep the meme alive.
Absolutely.
Again,
Don't let your memes be dreams.
A guy did make a lot of money off of a potato salad Kickstarter.
Yeah, but he was producing something. The whole point of this is that I don't want him to produce anything. That's the joke. If he does, it'll be ruined, and I'll just be disappointed. I'll walk away shaking my head.
Still, we have to admire that he has not been kicked off of Indiegogo, and I think the only reason he hasn't is because there's no false advertising.
It's $181 too. It's a matter of like 18
Hey,
cents.
no, don't you chew on that.
All right. Well, anyway, so yeah, please back this campaign. We all must see this succeed. So thank you, everybody, for your time and patience as I went through all that. So what I'm going to do for the gaming section, I know this is a little bit late now because this was released back in September and it's kind of a dead meme now. But I did promise that I would play the dating simulator. I love you, Colonel Sanders. So I'm going to boot that game up and give it a shot.
Goddamn.
I picked it up and I've never booted it up, so this is going to be brand new for me.
I have a theory that KFC only funded this game because they knew it would have been a smash hit in Japan. Because on the off chance you don't know this, KFC is very popular in Japan, especially around Christmas. In fact, it is so popular, you have to reserve your Christmas order months in advance.
Is it
There
really?
was actually a character in Negama who went to Japan, and after coming back, his name was Colonel Sanders.
But yeah, I'm not making that up. That is how big KFC is in Japan.
He's right.
I'm not surprised because
They got a love for
a
them
wedding.
secret blend of herbs and spices.
Well, you can reserve a wedding dinner at McDonald's in China.
Yeah, it's only like what, $8,000 or something like that. Pretty
Are we
cheap. for a wedding.
Are we talking in dollar dues or yuan?
Let me
Actually,
see.
I can't believe it. McDonald's actually does catering for weddings out in China.
Yeah, it's popular in China.
Yeah.
Which is why you'll never hear McDonald's talk about China.
China.
You won't hear a lot of corporations talk bad
China.
about China.
They want that money.
About the only good thing China has done for
decency itself should
Look, the
shall
only
kneel
good
before the power of the
I will say the only good thing China did in recent memory was make the Warcraft movie successful.
Fair.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah, that's the only thing good thing China's done, and it's for a freaking Warcraft. Oh, that's ironic.
Yeah.
China benefiting a Blizzard property.
Life comes at you fast, doesn't it? All right.
I like to think life comes at you very slow. We're just too blind to see it.
All right.
Alright, I've been playing Star Wars Jedi Last Order, and it is actually really good.
I've heard it is. Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah, it's definitely...
It's like everything is good except Kathleen Kennedy's trilogy.
Okay, if you're going in expecting the Force Unleashed, it is not like that at all.
I've heard that it's not very, but there are some similarities to the Souls series and Sekiro.
Yeah, but you can have it without the challenge. I mean,
it's not as hard.
Oh, not even close.
I wasn't comparing in terms. I didn't mean in terms of difficulty. I meant in terms of gameplay.
It does have meditation spots, which are pretty much bonfires. But it definitely it's more accessible than for casual players, and it is actually really fun to play too. Like,
wow, I already lost because I didn't wake up.
Say what?
Holy cow, I elected not to wake up, so I just lost and I have to start over again.
Oh yeah, there's like a dozen endings or something like that. Like there's a bunch of different endings you can get.
Nice. I didn't
For
think I
some
could lose
reason-
on the first choice, but there you go.
Damn.
All right, smack
I'd
that
like to
clock
place.
up and at 'em.
I'd like to place my bet. There's probably like 13 secret endings. And
that might actually be.
so-
Chad, that might actually be true.
And so, Dylan, you're telling me that this new Star Wars game is Dark Souls, but with extra steps.
I mean, it diverges enough to be unique in its own way, but you can definitely tell that element inspired by Dark Souls. But
I'll be
But-
honest, it looks like a Dark Souls reskin from the gameplay videos I've seen.
Don't you play with that. Don't you play with that.
Not at all.
Like
no.
I was about to meme about all the journalists calling it the Dark Souls of Star Wars, but then I watched them like, oh, it is Dark Souls.
Actually, it plays. I mean, yeah, there is Dark Souls, but it also plays like Uncharted quite a bit. It's
Does
like
that include the quick time events?
No. Oh no.
I might pick it up.
Here I am
I
trying
hope it comes
to
out on
say
Switch.
there are things that are similar, and everyone else is like, "Yeah, it's just like Dark Souls."
No, it's like Dark Souls mixed with Uncharted.
Yeah, I've got my eyes on the game. I'm just gonna wait however long it takes for the game to go on sale before I pick it up.
Yeah. I'm planning on for Christmas I plan on getting myself Death Stranding.
Oh, so
Death Stranding,
Dan,
the best game that I'm probably not going to be playing.
But it's by Hideo Kojima. You know, it's a Hideo Kojima game. Hideo Kojima. You know, his name is like everywhere. Hideo Kojima. All right.
Kojima, the dude who made the game. Haven't you heard of him?
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
he's
he's
great-
kind
great
of
guy.
popular or something. Mm-hmm.
I just want to point out that Hideo Kojima made a 70-minute cutscene in Metal Gear Solid 4.
I thought it was 40 minutes.
It's like, let me do something in the game.
All right,
Yeah,
all
we're
right.
all play our game.
I need to make sure I got this right because I remember hearing that he had an obscenely long like a cutscene in Metal Gear Solid 4 that was almost as long as a movie.
At that point, just make a movie.
That's unacceptable as far as I'm concerned.
Neostar has
Yes.
recommended
I don't care how
Namco
artsy
High.
you're trying to be.
Okay.
I need to make sure I got it right.
I don't think it was that long. I remember looking into this last time you brought that up, Brett, and I think it's just like there's like a 30 or 40-minute cutscene and it's like the closing cutscene of the game. It's not in the middle of the game.
I will say this though. Do you want to know how long the cutscenes are by themselves?
Oh, it's like 5 or 6
8.5 hours.
Yeah.
Okay, one more thing. This game actually lets you pause, unlike a Dark Souls game.
I mean, Sekiro let you pause.
Oh my goodness, the
It's
game
the-
lets you pause. It's one of the bare minimum things the game should do.
Well, the reason they don't do that with Dark Souls is because it had kind of an always online feature
That's
where
cancer.
Yeah, there was like a PvP system in it, wasn't it?
yeah, so you could be invaded by other players at any point, or you could summon help to your world. Well, I guess you can't be invaded at any point. Like you're not going to get invaded in the middle of a boss fight.
You know, that's so sad. I get excited that the game lets me pause.
I think it's, if done well, like a no pausing, or I think there can be valid reasons to have no pausing, but it is what it is, I guess.
Okay, that one guy. Yeah, I'm starting to notice something with the feed, but I have to wonder if this is a thing with dating sims. Does everyone pose like they're in a JoJo anime?
It does really look like it, doesn't it? I wonder if it's a reference.
Well, I mean, you're going to be looking at that one pose for a good long while, so I think they want to make it at least interesting to look.
I mean, come on, am I the one who says it?
Oh,
Yep, I see it.
by the
The
way,
dude
I
on the,
posted.
I mean, his hair's literally in the shape of a star.
The dude on the right literally looks like he's about to scream. Yeah! You can never just say his name. You gotta scream it.
and he can never say, "Hey, it was me." He has to say, "It was I, Dio."
Oh,
Actually,
yeah.
no one. Actually, now that I think about it, that is.
Joel Totoro.
If you actually look at the dialogue in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, it's completely fucking ridiculous. Like no one would talk like that. But I don't really care.
I mean, I don't think it's supposed to be realistic dialogue. I think
I
it's
know.
going for the spectacle.
Oh yeah, I know. I mean, like JoJo is an anime that follows the rule of cool completely. I mean, just for perspective, in the second arc, Joseph had to scale a pillar that took him 3 days that was covered in oil, and then it had a disc of oil that could slice you, and he somehow managed to ride it to get and flip over it. Like,
So strange. So strange.
I'm not gonna lie. I
I
didn't
managed
like.
to post that screen cap in the Discord that you were talking about, Brett, in Celebrate Good Times.
yeah, I think it's that. Now, what were you gonna say, Chad?
I'm not gonna lie. Unpopular opinion. I fucking hate JoJo. It's not a bad anime. I just feel that a lot of the stuff with it is overplayed out right now, you know?
I'm also not gonna lie. JoJo is one of those animes where you're either gonna like it or you're not.
There's just a dog chef.
Yeah, there's a dog chef.
What?
Standing
Yeah,
on
he's
a
the
pedestal.
professor.
A column. And why is there complex
It's a
mathematical equations?
Also, it's a
in cooking
corgi.
school? Is it a corgi? Oh yeah.
Yeah, that is corgi. They're actually very intelligent dogs. They're, not just all floof.
Well, there was maybe there was a reason why they chose a corgi when they wanted to
Here's
put
Colonel
Ein in.
Sanders. All right.
I'm starting to think there was a reason they made Ein a corgi in Cowboy Bebop now.
Well, yeah. They
Oh my. Ara.
Yeah, holy cow. I'm spellbound by this guy. Let me see.
Oh.
Like he's young, but he's got white hair.
By the way, I think it's actually kind of funny if you read all of Sanders' dialogue with Norm Macdonald's voice.
Anything's funny in Norm Macdonald's voice. Speaking of which, he voices a major role in the film Klaus on Netflix. If you haven't seen it, highly recommend it. Gorgeous movie.
Ooh, did they take an historic look at the origins of Santa Claus?
Well, yeah, but it's a fresh take on it. It's a fresh take.
Is he ethnically Greek and lives in Turkey?
No, he looks Scandinavian.
Yeah, everyone is
into the trash it goes.
Everyone is white. All right, let's see.
Look, I'm sorry, but the jolly fat man in a red suit is the popular image.
I mean, he could have been fat. They did a facial reconstruction of him recently using his
okay, this is probably gonna sound like heresy, but I kind of like Teen Titans Go's portrayal of Santa.
I don't remember that one.
We all know the best.
Oh, Teen Titan Go. Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say you said Teen Titans, and I immediately thought to the original cartoon. I'm like, oh, they had a Santa Claus episode. What?
Oh, you mean the only cartoon, right?
Okay, we all know the best interpretation of Santa.
Honestly, Chad, Teen Titans Go has made some. It's majorly improved. It is majorly. It's actually been. It actually has been good in places.
Since the movie.
Like Stan Lee cameo.
Yeah, Stanley made a cameo in the movie.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I kind of like that they have the portrayal they have for Santa, where he's a villain.
Okay,
as Futurama did.
As I've been saying,
there was one episode, there was one Christmas episode where other holidays were going missing, and then the Titans found out it was because Santa was kidnapping them so that he could have all the holiday power.
Isn't that the plot to the third the Santa Claus boom with Tim Allen.
Not ringing a bell, but maybe.
Well, the Santa Claus, the first one, is he kills Santa by accident, and he has to take his place. It's like Piers Anthony's on a pale horse, but with Christmas.
Oh no, the Santa Claus 3.
I know
shit.
Jack Frost tries to become Santa.
Right, and Santa Claus 3 does. Yeah, that's Martin Short plays Jack Frost.
I really love those movies.
They're really good movies. I mean, stupid, yes. Weird, God, yes. But definitely worth watching.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
fun.
That's what makes work. They're weird.
If you watch them at the appropriate time of year, they're a lot of fun. Yeah, my kids love them.
As as I was saying, I think the best interpretation of Santa Claus is from the Billy and Mandy Christmas special, where he's voiced by freaking what's his face? Oh crap! What's the voice? The one that does the Affleck.
Gilbert Gottfried.
Gilbert.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, and the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy.
Yeah, Gilbert Gottfried. Yeah.
Gilbert
Is it-
Gottfried.
yeah,
is
they
a
even got
national
Malcolm McDowell in that special too.
Yeah.
Neo
I
Star
am
the
says, Colonel
head.
Sanders is beautiful. Take me, Chicken Daddy. Yeah, I'm right there with you, buddy. He is absolutely
looking for-
stunning.
You're looking for the head.
Oh, there's a one time when I was GMing when we were playing Pathfinder. I think it was the Emerald Spire, and I was running part of it because my character had died, and so like basically like if your character died, you were the new GM. So that was kind of how it went. All the flavor text was in green, and I did all the flavor text in the voice of Gilbert Gottfried until the former GM got so angry that he actually threw a pin at me, and I'm like, okay, I'll stop. He was not happy.
What the? How the hell did you? It's just like, what the hell, man?
You know, Gilbert Gottfried is a national treasure.
You enter a dark room. Stalagmites come down from the ceiling.
Nicely done. I saw him live a couple of years ago, and he did the entire Aristocrats routine. It was glorious.
I'm sorry, what?
You never saw his Aristocrats routine?
I know what he's
No,
talking
but
about.
I did see him. I saw him and George Takei. They both did short readings, like as a gag of what was that smut based off of Twilight?
50 Shades of Grey. And
Yeah,
I know
yeah, that was
exactly
it.
what you're talking about. The 50 Shades of Grey audiobook read by Gilbert Gottfried. You can find it on College Humor, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I don't think he actually narrated the whole thing. It was just like a video for College Humor. Although if he did,
And
I'll definitely listen to it.
honestly, I wish I could get my hands on him going and just reading the book, because you know what? It would make that trash sound and just be so much better. It honestly would.
Well, I remember, and I still haven't bought it to this day. It is kind of an expensive purchase, but whenever I read the Bible, whenever God's talking, I always imagine he has the voice of James Earl Jones. Well, there's actually on like a multiple CD set, James Earl Jones reads the Bible, and that's him reading the entire Bible.
Wow.
By James
James.
Earl Jones. I'm like, that would sound amazing.
Anything that man reads would be amazing.
James Earl Jones has
I
one of
would
those
listen.
voices, just like Morgan Freeman, where he could sit there and read the phone book and it would be entertaining.
I was gonna say
Mhm.
I would listen to that man read the back of like a soap bottle or something.
There's actually a little mashup you might not see coming. So there's a C.S. Lewis book called The Screw Tape Letters.
I've heard of that one.
Yeah,
I know
it is
what
about
you're
a.
referencing.
Say what?
I know what you're referencing, and I actually have a copy somewhere in 5 feet of me.
Okay, well here's where it gets interesting. Okay, Screw Tape Letters is about a demon named Screwtape who is educating another demon named Wormwood about how best to corrupt men. And when I say that man, and I should be specific. So, and there's an audio book where it's kind of presented where like Screwtape is sending Wormwood these letters on how to do it. And the audiobook, the narration is done by John Cleese.
He definitely has a voice I don't mind listening to.
Yeah, Monty Python John Cleese.
Yeah, he's got one of those very distinguished. He played in Fable 3. He voiced your assistant, and he really added a lot to it.
I didn't realize that.
Yep, that was him.
What I remember from Fable 3 was that Stephen Fry was in it.
Yeah, I mean, there are some things I liked about Fable 3, but overall, it wasn't really that great.
I worked my ass off to both save everybody and be a benevolent ruler, and I did that by just earning money and earning money and earning money and earning money and paying for everything myself.
Yeah, go on.
And in the continuation and the expansion, I was still seen as a tyrant. It's like, you assholes! I moonlighted for an entire year to pay for the army myself, without taxing the hell out of you.
Yeah, especially when you gotta start at the very beginning and start buying buildings, fixing them up, earning money from that.
Yeah, I paid for the entire defense against the darkness out of my own pocket. So, whatever. They're a bunch of ingrates. Anyway.
Then again, if you go out to the people, they'll appreciate you.
Yeah. Oh, look. Why is the king playing the lute? For money? I'm trying
Someone
to
has to buy this military.
I'm building a military by playing the lute. Oh, so ridiculous, but some...
Yeah, I mean, I played Fable 2 way back in the day. I mean, I really like that game.
Mm-hmm.
I have not played the first one, though.
I have played a little bit of all 3. I never really got around to finishing the game because I never had the system. It wasn't until late that, I had something that could run it. And, well, you all know how notoriously horrendous my laptop is.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, hey, at least it doesn't die at random times. Like, whose computer is it again? Brett? Yeah, I think it was Brett.
Poor Brett. He's the big gay, and so is his laptop.
Yep.
Let's see here. So with Fables, you can get it on Steam.
Mm-hmm. Anniversary edition too. And now, here's the funny thing: when you buy those versions on Steam, you actually get like the original pre-order purchase DLC, if I remember correctly. I think the Spiffing Brett, who is a fantastic channel, I'm gonna have to say, I think he mentioned something about you get everything and it's still a pretty early patch of the game.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's something I want to get people's opinions on.
Go ahead.
Yes.
So a while back, So I think it was like a couple days ago, someone asked on Twitter to quote tweet their most controversial comic book opinion, and what I put out was, I want to get the wording right, so I got to go digging through my timeline a little bit. What I put was, while legitimate pop culture institutions, superheroes have a stranglehold on American comics that squeezes other genres out in the market. Manga and bande dessinée have much wider diversity of genres, and in my opinion, for the better.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
I think it might be better to specify mainstream comics is where the superhero stranglehold is. I feel that the indie scene is a bit more diverse.
Yeah, I think maybe what Brett's getting at
but
is when people, like you said, in the mainstream hear the phrase comic books, they immediately go to Spider-Man, Superman, Batman.
Yeah.
I'm guilty of that too, because when I go to my comic book store, I have a limited budget, and I'm in there, and I'm like, I want to get something indie. I have no idea if I'm going to like it or not. Just don't.
Mm-hmm.
So you stay with what's safe, oftentimes.
Yeah, I mean, like even when you go to like a manga, when you go with what's considered mainstream, there's still a lot more diversity there.
Yeah, we have two really popular series right now. One's about superheroes, one's about
You might want to speak a little closer into your mic, Dylan.
Okay. Sorry. We have two. Think about like two of the most popular like series right now. One's about superheroes and one's about slaying demons. I'd say, yeah.
Exactly.
So
And then you got Black. Well, I mean, like if I think what people are saying that the new big three in shonen are is Demon Slayer, My Hero Academia, and Black Clover. And yeah, you got one which is is basically shonen with a superhero twist. Then you got Demon Slayer, which is a little bit more I think steers a little bit more into dark fantasy and feudal Japan. Well, actually, no, it's not feudal Japan. I think it's more like Edo period Japan.
and they have trains, they have fedoras and suits and stuff.
It would be Edo period of Japan then.
Right.
And Black Clover, which does anyone know what Black Clover's thing is?
Magic. Magic and wizards.
I mean, even Dr. Stone is fairly popular, and I think it's about mad scientists, isn't it?
Dr. Stone is about literally the entire planet getting turned into statues, and this dude's pretty much re-going through and redoing all the science and shit to fix everything, redo everything, yada yada, blah blah blah, unstone everyone. And it's him versus a dude who just doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, and at the beginning of like every episode, they say, "Do not attempt what you see in this anime," because they use real scientific ingredients and stuff. It's really cool.
But yeah, just that. But yeah, I mean, like hold that up compared to what's mainstream in American comic books.
Also, where, in my opinion, mainstream comic books is about there's a lot of themes of escapism. There's superheroes or people of fantastic ability doing fantastic things because they have the power to. They're going, and it's the power fantasy. Let's be honest.
That's why I found Watchmen to be kind of useless, because it's like, well, here's what would happen if superheroes were real. We know that's what would happen if they were real. That's why they're written with, higher moral standards typically.
Yeah, I feel like the problem with Watchmen's good, but I feel like the problem with it that everybody at some point tried to replicate Watchmen. You had this one Justice League story. I forgot what it was.
Injustice?
No, not for Injustice. It was one where it turns out the Justice League were erasing memories of
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Identity Crisis.
Identity Crisis, yeah, and that one wasn't really that great. But it's just like they try and give they try and give like these morally righteous characters this sort of tongue tied this moral gray that the Watchmen characters had, but you run into problems because those characters were not made to be critiques of superheroes. Those characters, are just superheroes, and
I
I
think
mean, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I still think at least in most recent memory, the most egregious case of a superhero doing something that was just beyond the pale for them was One More Day when Spider-Man cut a deal with Mephisto.
no, he should have been responsible. He should have taken responsibility for his actions, and he would have to live with that. That would have been a whole lot better. Honestly, I mean, it is so ridiculous that they're like, "Oh, we want Spider-Man to be single. Nobody would be interested in marrying Spider-Man." Are you freaking kidding me? Spider-Man was at his best when you would worry about his relationships. Honestly.
That's what you get when weirdos who aren't in relationships or have families take over characters like that.
Yeah, this was even before the whole.
It is also very telling that the chick Peter hooked up after he broke up with Mary Jane was based off of Joe Quesada's daughter.
Creepy.
In this place, you can't blame the weirdo without a relationship for Spider-Man's breakup with Mary Jane because it was Joe Quesada.
Ah, yeah, good point. I stand corrected.
Wait, was Joe Quesada Joe Quesada divorced or? I'm gonna check something, but yeah. I mean, for one, Tom King is married, and Tom King's married, and he can't write relationships for shit.
Well,
he's married and he has kids.
Yeah, I don't understand what he was doing.
Tom King, he does not write natural dialogue especially between freaking Batman.
Remember when superheroes fought villains? Remember superheroes?
I remember.
Yeah.
I take it back. Joe Quesada is happily married.
Are you sure about the happily part?
I think he's more happy.
The way some of these people write relationships, I'm not sure.
I don't know. Tom King claims on Twitter he loves his wife.
Oh, we all know that's CIA app.
I mean, you can claim a lot of things on the internet and people believe them. To this day, people on Twitter are still convinced that I'm a Tiny Toon Link.
People believe that I'm 6'9" and jacked.
Ooh.
But yeah, I mean, like, let's just put it this way: it ain't just childless weirdos. It's also people who are just.
People believe
it is people who are married and even have kids that are writing these comics and aren't doing it well. And it kind of feels like Neil Starr sort of agrees with me. He says Alan Moore's Watchmen was a relatively bad influence creatively on modern comic book writers and Scott Pilgrim. In that case, in that particular case, they didn't get what made Watchmen or Scott Pilgrim work.
And then there's Joss Whedon.
Yeah.
You see, Watchmen worked because it was new, it was interesting, it was edgy, and that's what made it work. Now, Scott Pilgrim, what worked is the exact same thing, but instead of being edgy, it was interesting. It was a concept that really hadn't been played
quirky
around with before. Honestly, the idea of video games being the main prevalent idea in a comic book or manga, will include everything for this. The only really big one that comes to mind is, I believe, Matt, Brett, you guys might know more about this than me. The Gamer If I remember correctly, it was Korean manga. I can't fully
It's
Manhwa.
remember.
Korean. It's a manhwa. Manga is Japanese.
Yeah, I'm like super out of it right now. I just woke up like right before 10. Um, but like in recent memory, that is the only that is the first big comic book that ever touched on video games as a concept. And what do you see now, years later, you see a lot of the new mangas that are coming out, at least out of, Japan, I would like to say. They're heavily based around the idea of, hey, people are video game characters. It's another reason why cycling back to the last topic that I brought up, a lot of the modern day comic books are like mainstream are about power fantasies. If you look at a lot of the more isekai ones, there's a lot of the same thing, but at the same time, there's a small, tiny genre of them that I actually have a particular love for, where they just seek to live the most comfortable life possible. They're nice, they're gentle. This is hey, I don't want to go to a foreign world to become, the next god emperor. I want to go to someplace, a fantasy world, and just sit around and relax and take it easy and not, stress out about life like I do here. That's the biggest issue I think we have with mainstream comics, though, is they're out of touch with the fan base. A lot of people in the younger generation, especially, crap. I was born in '96. I forget what generation I'm in. I think I might be part
You're a
of.
Zoomer.
Millennial. Oh wait, yeah.
Yeah, which is very regrettable. Trust me, I wish I was a year older. Um, a lot of the people right around my age group, early to mid 20s, we don't want to be super rich. A lot of us don't, because just why? Why do you need billions and billions of dollars? You know what I would rather have? I would rather have a nice, comfortable house, enough money in the bank to be able to put food on my table, pay my bills, and to be able to put gas in my car so I can go where I need to.
And bitches.
Hey, I'm a millennial, and even I don't really care about making a fuck ton of money.
Exactly. Like, they
Mostly because I've actually thought about it, and it's like if I won Powerball, I've actually said this. If I won Powerball, I would just use it to pay off all my debts, buy a house, and refurbish my van, and hmm. And I wouldn't
If
know.
I won Powerball, all you would know is
I'd still have that. That's probably not even a fraction of all I could win out of from Powerball, and I would not know what I would do with the rest of it. I mean, I could invest it, but it's just like I can only invest in so many things at once, and it's like, I wouldn't know what to do with all that money.
if I won Powerball, people wouldn't know that I'd won Powerball. They'd just think, "Oh, David finally got his shit together."
If I
Actually,
ended up,
while we were kind of touching on the subject, I wanted while Dan was here because he's been around the block more, so I kind of wanted to run this idea. I'm sure everybody who's into comics has their own theory on how to do this, but since DC is doing their sort of reboot again, dear Lord, personally, I would have thought that they would be best served, perhaps in the long run, although I can't really see them doing this because it would require cutting off so much fat. But one thing they could do is just consolidate to probably like the top 10 to 20 comics, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Aquaman, just not have all these huge crossover titles. Just start with the bare basic.
and like have a 5-year plan and like start them off with a sort of Batman Year One esque, graphic novel whose climax is their first outing as that superhero. Set up their backstory. Here's their origin, and here's their first outing, and then you start the comic books. And at the end of the year, after they've done some basic, fight a few, normal tier bad guys or natural disasters in Superman's case, whatever, you could end it with them, the year with them meeting their arch nemesis for the first time. So Superman would meet Lex Luthor for the first time, Batman would meet the Joker for the first time, and to pair off with that, it's a bigger challenge that they faced, so they would get a boon. So Superman would fly for the first time, because he wasn't originally able to fly. Batman would, it would see the premiere of the Batmobile, and then like maybe year 2, you could see them. I don't know. At the end of the second year, maybe that's what encourages them to get a sidekick or something. Have a sort of gradation of reintroducing all these things. Because what they did with the last 2 reboots is they're saying we're rebooting it, but we're also launching like everything at you all at once. And I think that does a disservice to any new readers that they might want to get. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah. Have you read
at the end of 5 years, you could do the very first Justice League crossover or something. But try to keep crossovers to a minimum is what I would recommend.
Sure. I mean, have you read all the old Marvel stuff that was contained in those essential titles? Like the Essential Spider-Man, the Essential Fantastic Four, the Essential Hulk and Thor and all that stuff, that basically compiles all their books from the very beginning. They were very well constructed and had very tight continuity. Spider-Man especially. Like, you really got a sense that you were following someone's life, and everything led into the next story beautifully, and everything had consequences, like both personal and otherwise. And by the time you got up to the point where he was, in the modern day, you had a sense that you really understood this character and were there with him the entire time, and things actually mattered. And
yeah, you don't really get that feeling anymore.
No, you really don't. No, it's just, and this is why the way that I'm writing my stories is they have a definite end, and if they continue, then it's the next generation, and everything that happens once. There's no parallel universes. Everything that happens has weight. Everything that happens has consequences, and they're permanent. Because I don't want things to be retconned out of existence. I don't want things to not have the importance that they had for that character at that time. So for those who have been in the writer's room and know what I'm talking about, and yeah, that's definitely the plan.
That doobie she smokes is gonna matter.
It's also part of why I said on Twitter once that we want to zig with the Mythoverse where Marvel and DC zag, because like another thing that I'm gonna be honest, I really think has hurt the characters in the long run was that if you look at like either Marvel, DC now, it's like some kind of version of Hollywood. Like everybody knows each other.
Yeah, that's weird.
And who's an Avenger? Who's not an Avenger anymore?
It's easier to make a list of the people who haven't been on the Avengers at this point.
Yeah, the Avengers are supposed to be Earth's mightiest heroes. Like, you had to be a truly powerful.
You had to be the best to be the best in the Marvel universe to be on the Avengers. Now, like almost every about at this point. But yeah. I almost want to say they didn't let kids on the Avengers, but the young Avengers existed.
Yeah, and then they didn't they literally let Kamala Khan on the Avengers for like a short while? Then she's like, "Oh, I quit."
Well, because they wouldn't fix a food truck or something.
Yeah, like what the hell?
With Young Avengers, you could there's actually a point to it where they weren't really considered Avengers, and Captain America strongly discouraged it.
Oh yeah, well yeah, I know. I mean, like at least the original Young Avengers line, like they were just using the name, and they were not endorsed. They didn't.
Okay,
but yeah.
Last stream we did we talk about my opinion on the X-Men being in the Marvel Universe?
Yes.
yeah, it was last stream. Okay. Yeah, I don't think they should be in the same universe together because, like, it doesn't make sense, honestly.
On one hand, it does,
Okay, but why love
but
the Thing from the Fantastic Four when someone from the X-Men can be as equally freaky and they're like, "Oh no, that's bad." Okay, okay, yeah.
One was born with it.
How they get their things is different, but okay, how's the average person gonna be able to distinct, like, it doesn't
A
make
mutant from a
sense. It doesn't.
superhero.
Yeah, it just doesn't. Yeah, I feel
I
like
think-
the X-Men and
Yeah, the themes they've set up for it don't gel well with the greater Marvel universe, at least as
Well,
far as how the
it
movies
really
have been
doesn't.
You
done.
look like you had something there, Chad. What were you gonna say?
the difference between, say, Ben Grimm and Colossus. If I remember correctly, Colossus, does he ever actually turn his
He
power
can,
off?
yeah,
or
he can activate his metal shell whenever at will.
Okay, so Colossus, he's always had that ability. That's always been a part of him. So, like, that's just seen as, something he's had to struggle with. Whereas Ben Grimm, the Thing, he originally was a human who had a partner,
Okay,
and he had a tragic accident happen to him
okay,
that disfigured him. So,
okay,
it
but
makes him a much more sympathetic character than, say, someone who was born with an ability to turn into a giant metal man.
Okay, yeah.
I was gonna say maybe a
that's just how the story-
better comparison would be like, say, Beast.
I think Dylan wants to say something.
Yeah, I honestly don't think. I mean, yeah, they had different struggles, but when you talk about society, we live in a society. It's like the average person isn't gonna look at that. Yeah. Okay, so let's say, yeah, people have problems with the mutants. Let's say if this is realistic and people had problems, one day still have problems with a big rock man, like as they would a big blue beast man.
Well, this is also the same universe that had the Hulk and the Avengers, and people used to be scared of the Hulk. They feared and despised him.
It's still kind of are to a point, because the problem with the Hulk, even when the Hulk was with the Avengers, he's always kind of been a wild card, just because you can never tell when he's gonna go berserk.
Yeah, just it doesn't make sense to me, honestly. Just like how these two completely different things, like are made to work. It just feels very contradictory. Honestly.
And also, I mean, like if you really want to look at the whole thing with the X-Men being like a way to examine things like bigotry and prejudice, that metaphor really doesn't hold up to scrutiny, because you kind of realize if mutants were a real thing, they would be regulated and there'd be overwhelming support for it, because even though they don't mean to,
because
mutants are by nature dangerous to
they
humans.
are very like you literally have someone who could take off their glasses and then evaporate like everybody.
Yeah, I mean, like, go back and watch. Well, no, that's not cool. Cyclops is blaster kinetic, then it's not a laser, but that's not the point. But yeah, go back to the first movie and watch that opening scene where Senator Kelly says, "There is a girl in Chicago who can walk through walls. What's to stop her from walking through into Fort Knox or into the White House?" And when you think about it, he's right.
Right.
I think Cracked did this really well a few years ago when they had After Hours, and that was still the most beautiful show on the internet, I'm not going to lie. They did bring up the topic of, what would happen if every teenager with, even the slightest bit of mental health issues or, just issues in general was a walking nuclear warhead. Like, that's some of the questions that we seriously got to look at when it comes down to it with like X-Men and any of the related material, you know? You
And then
have
there
to
is a mutant
ask
that actually can
yourself.
do that. Nitro. Nitro actually managed to destroy an entire school just by accident.
Yeah,
And
like
that was the catalyst to Civil War.
like mutant powers are cool. They're awesome. We'd all love to have them. Let's be honest. We all have that one that we would love to have. But then you realize that if you did bring that into our world, there would be people with powers, there would be people without powers, and of course there would be power scaling between everyone. You know, there'd be people who would be weaker, people who would be stronger,
Mhm.
and it would go and it would create a very, very strange, mutually assured destruction feeling on a daily basis for people without powers, and for people with powers who were on the weaker end of things, they would feel the same way. The idea of mutually assured destruction was, honestly, as far as I can tell, it's one of the most terrifying and ridiculous ideas that we have ever come up with. And if mutants existed and powers existed, that's what it would end up being. It would be us versus them, and it would be a literal contest of who can go and kill the other person with the bigger boom.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just. Yeah, I mean, like so it's just like when you have people writing X-Men as like using it to like analyze prejudice and bigotry. I see where it goes, but that metaphor is honestly pretty shallow.
You know, if you look at like the original comics, like it's not really there. The whole
Yeah, probably that didn't really become a thing until like what Claremont took over.
yeah, and even then, it's
Like
not
I said,
like
I mean, I give him props. I give him props for trying to want to inject some depth into it, and he did to a point. But it's like, I mean, I honestly don't think there's any getting around to it that it's a shallow metaphor.
yeah, just I don't. Yeah,
Like
even then, even
it's
then
talk
when
like it's talking about it talks about prejudice in probably some of the most in probably one of the most simplistic ways possible.
right, and I mean even then, you like look at it, like look at the politics they tried to do then, and like you look at how they try and do it now. It's like it's so on the nose now.
Oh yeah,
Like
because at least, yeah, at least Claremont was trying to be a little bit more nuanced.
yeah,
I'll give
just
him, like I said, like I said, I am someone who will get. I am the guy who will give credit where it's due.
right.
Yeah. Neostar says they should have went the metahuman route from DC, where you either trusted everyone with superpowers or nobody with powers.
All right, folks, it's 11. That means I got to head out, but you guys can feel free to continue chatting. I'm just going to shut the stream down. So thanks,
All right.
guys, for joining us.
Shut it all down, Dan.
And no problem.
Man,
All right, man.
I feel kind of bummed out because it still feels like there was more we could have talked about.
You can go on talking. I'm just going to have to go to bed, and I'm going to shut the stream down. Thanks, everyone, for watching.
Yeah, no.
Thanks, everyone, for coming and chatting.
Mm-hmm.
Next week, if I'm able to come on, it'll be a little bit later because we have a holiday thing with the family starting a couple hours before we would go on. So hopefully I'll be able to make it. If not, I'll just hop on a little bit later. So see you guys then.
Yep, see you then.
All right,
Right.
see you.